Hello, and welcome again to Nobody Gets That Reference, the show of references, gaming, conversation, and really anything else. I'm Charlie again.
And I'm Bale this week, it would seem.
Well, welcome, Bale. We're doing some more Modern Warfare Warzone gameplay. This one's a little more high energy than the last. It's two different matches, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things. So, yeah, Season 3 is out. This footage is a little bit old, but still should be within Season 3, and they've changed everything. We've got new operators, new skins, new guns. It's crazy. You have the Battle Pass. I don't. How are you enjoying it?
Well, I feel like I'm finding my progress is slower than it was on Season 2, but I suppose I'm much more focused on it from the beginning. I mean, Season 2, I bought the Battle Pass about halfway through the season. So I wasn't really, I had all these rewards lined up, whereas now I'm thinking, I have to go and I have to rank up all the way to unlock the new Rhodian skin, which is what I'm really looking forward to once I get to that.
Yeah, I think the deciding factor as to whether or not I buy it will be if I think I can rank it up to 90 to get the Mara skin. Because I missed Mara in Season 1 by, a hair's breadth. But, of course, everyone did. Leave a comment if you want as to how many of you actually bought the Season 1 Battle Pass. Because I'm fairly certain that almost nobody did. I've never seen anyone with any, it's rare to see a Mara player. I've seen a couple. And I've never seen anyone with any of the guns or, emblems from that era. So I'm pretty sure that Battle Pass went almost completely unnoticed.
Yeah, I certainly think so, and I think Ghost was a way to sweeten that up a bit in Season 2, and they really focused on it a bit more.
Oh, definitely. They definitely had more people who were interested in the game, I think, especially with, Season 2 being the beginning-ish of Warzone, and kind of that coming out and people kind of knowing that was coming. And did we make it? Boom. Yeah, that was a good throw. Oh, didn't quite kill the chopper, but that's okay.
Shame, I want to get that achievement for downing a chopper with a Molotov someday.
That's in the campaign, right?
I think it might be campaign or Spec Ops. I don't know if they'd count it in this, but
it's worth a shot. We do not have any news about the Season 3 Spec Ops yet. I haven't heard anything. And I know there are going to be some new ones. There's no way they won't sort of continue that story in Season 3, but so far we've got nothing. I love the Spec Ops most of all, so I am eagerly awaiting that. And the first time we hear something, we will gladly pass it on to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Spec Ops is... I really like the way they did Spec Ops in this. It really feels like you're an agent going into the war zone. Here in this clip here, I'm showing that sometimes you do have to take a little risks to chase after enemies.
Yeah, see, I would have expected that, your truck would have exploded if you had gone. I would have never made that,
nonsense.
But, you did it. You are the...
You can do just about anything in a truck.
Yeah.
They truly are amazing.
Probably, I think, with the recent rebalance, I think they're a little bit better than the helicopter, because the helicopter used to be... I don't know how many of our viewers really use helicopters all that much, but it used to be unlimited flares on a cooldown. It was about 10 seconds. You fire off a flare from the helicopter to prevent you from lock-on missile or something, and then after 10 or so seconds you can fire another one. That changed with a recent rebalance, and you get one set of flares. That's it now.
I thought it still was a cooldown, and I just thought, today playing, cooldown. I got a kill on a helicopter with a Pila, and I thought it was simply a result of because I fired one missile and the flares came out, and then I fired another really quickly. And
now, from what I know, it's a single. You get a single set of flares, and they rebalanced the truck, I think, to be a little bit beefier in terms of damage it can take. I think an RPG to the face will still take it out, one shot. But
also an entire mag with the G36 equivalent will do it, as I learned today.
I see.
That was someone else again.
I haven't been able to get much shots on it with the AX50 that I use.
Yeah.
So
well, now
I bet you
showing y'all off my favorite weapon that they allowed you to get in Warzone. The Riot Shield now can be found in boxes. I mean, it's so great. I mean, can a bitch get a Riot Shield?
There's reference number 1. If you got the reference, pause the video, comment, and if not, well, we'll tell you in just a moment. But yeah, I think Riot Shields are a game changer. I think, especially because they can't break, and they're somewhat easily available. BR solos, they're going to dominate.
Yeah, because I found the biggest problem is in non-solo play, you can get swarmed on. A team can flank you, and if they come at you from more than one side with a Riot Shield, you're screwed. Whereas on solos, you'd have to get 2 independent people to shoot at you from different angles to really be in danger, which happens, but...
Yeah. I'd be willing to bet that the solos class for the win is going to be the Riot Shield and then the Remedy whatever, the Beretta 92 with the Raffica attachment as a secondary. Maybe Akimbo if you can get that.
I mean, I really think for any Battle Royale class, you should really get Overkill on it, because Overkill is going to be worth it in terms of the 2 primaries, and also none of the slot 2 perks are really that great.
I respectfully disagree, and I hit you back on solos. You're going to want 2 things. You're going to want both Cold-Blooded and Ghost, because then UAVs and heartbeat sensors won't be able to detect you. And like when I play solos, I always go with the AX50 with the thermal and the heartbeat, because I want to be able to see where everybody else is, even if I'm not going to shoot at them. And those 2 advantages are, boom, immediately nullified if you take those 2 perks. But I could also see someone taking a Riot Shield and pairing it up with like an MP7. God, everyone loves the MP7.
I say, get the best weapons you can and let them come. Let them know exactly where you are.
That's fair. That's certainly a fair point. So as to the can a bitch get a Riot Shield, that was from probably, I would say, my favorite SNL sketch. I don't know about you, Bale.
Certainly mine.
But the FBI shooting range featuring Kevin Roberts, which is such an interesting skit because it's really, really good on its face. You know, it's a beautifully written sketch. It's pretty funny. It's a good concept. It's one of the few ones where Larry David isn't like... I mean, I guess I can't say he's not overacting, but Larry David's not doing like the thing that you'd expect Larry David to do, which is being like an old angry guy. That's his Bernie Sanders.
He's
that's
very
Curb,
much playing against type there.
Yeah, but like it's not on most people's top 10. Most people have never even heard of that particular sketch. So what do you think it is that makes a sketch like that, or in any kind of thing, like a particularly brilliant moment in, say, TV or a movie, but that people just kind of forget about? Is it because there's something about it that makes it not iconic, or is it just it happened during a bad season? What do you think?
I mean, I think some of it is things like I don't think it came at a great time, but I also think you can also attribute it to issues such as I think some of it's just luck, because you look at so many, you have sketches like Haunted Elevator with David S. Pumpkins, which was, it was funny, but it's sort of a similar thing, and that took off like wildfire, whereas this didn't. So it's really just people found that sort of strange joke amusing and not this Kevin Roberts thing. I mean, I was going to say, I think a big thing about success of a sketch has to do with the potential it has to be repeated and copied and shared, and I'd say that could be it. But I do think Kevin Roberts is certainly quite memeable. I mean,
oh yeah,
come on,
like the moment with the air horn. Yeah. We'll include a link in the description to the Kevin Roberts sketch so everyone can see it. But it's worth 3 or 4 minutes of your time.
Kevin Roberts just got to second base
with a lady. Man, who would do that with Kevin Roberts? And then you have Pete Davidson's really awful like Dickies and belt.
That guy just say, "Can a bitch get a donut?"
Why does Kevin Roberts have friends and a storyline? Like it's such an odd thing that you wouldn't expect. It's not. SNL makes a lot of jokes about like pop culture and movies and like stuff that's based on other media, riffing on a show or riffing on whatever. This isn't. This is just like a seemingly really random thing. Now, I don't know if someone grew up with like some weird person that was in their high school that was named Kevin Roberts that wore bright neon orange suits. I mean, I'd love to hear the story behind it. But yeah, talking about SNL, the thing I said earlier, I think maybe stands a little bit, which is if something happens kind of between eras or between when you have people on, it tends to fall through the cracks. Like the Eddie Murphy era, that's pretty well known, and a lot of people really loved Eddie Murphy. But at the same time, for like 5 or 10 years after him, SNL had its lowest watch numbers ever. So a lot of those sketches, even the ones that might be pretty funny, kind of went by the wayside.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a aspect of the importance of the cast in terms of not necessarily the quality of the sketches, but just in terms of how many people watch it. And Eddie Murphy was the one thing keeping SNL on television for the time he was on. There weren't really any other cast members who were popular with him, so once he was gone, there was no one anybody liked. It would be like if Kate McKinnon left today.
Yeah, we're definitely living in the Kate McKinnon era.
Yeah. I'd say the 3 most recent eras were the Will Ferrell era, the Bill Hader era, and the Kate McKinnon era. Now, my personal favorite is the Bill Hader era.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not love Bill Hader? I mean, Will Ferrell was good, but the problem with Will Ferrell is Will Ferrell can't really interact with anyone else on the screen. Like, Will Ferrell has trouble being in movies where he's not the only really big star. Like,
yeah,
people originally thought Holmes and Watson with John C. Reilly was going to be really good, but it totally tanked. Because the first movie they did together, Step Brothers, John C. Reilly was kind of an unknown. And he was kind of, and please correct me on this if I'm wrong in the comments, but like he wasn't really that well known. People were much more sort of, who is this guy? He's just playing second fiddle to Will Ferrell, which I get. Will Ferrell was definitely the big name. But, and because of that, I think Will Ferrell was allowed to kind of be the person he wanted to be, the big... He was allowed to really take up the whole screen, which with sort of the other issue with that was that there weren't a whole lot of other people during the Will Ferrell era on SNL that were holding up their end.
I mean, I think you'd have a lot of people disagree with you on that with Parnes and Rachel Dretch and then Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, but at the same time, Fey and Poehler were really sticking to the Weekend Update, and they had their thing there. And then I guess Seth Meyers did a lot of the Weekend Update during that time. I'm not entirely sure, but you certainly had, you certainly had Will Ferrell as the standout, and that's kind of I guess you could almost say that's like the period of the breakers in terms of the time in SNL history, because that's when you had Fallon on and Sandler on, so all these other people who kind of, in a way, coasted next to Ferrell.
Yeah. I think with the amount that... wait a minute. Okay. On 3, who's the SNL cast member that has broken the most? 1, 2, 3, Jimmy Fallon. Like, he definitely would have been kicked off or asked to leave or whatever if he hadn't been sort of standing next to Ferrell in a way. But I don't know. I mean, SNL's like a weird show because it's a sketch comedy show that goes through. It's not like Days of Our Lives or General Hospital where you have the same cast for 30 years. They go through. What's the average length of a cast member being on? Like 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think it's
something like that. Now there are obviously people who are who go away much quicker. That guy that they hired who then talked bad stuff on Twitter, and he was gone before he even did an episode. I don't even remember his name.
You had like Luke Knoll, who was a cast member for a season, and I guess he just wasn't very good, and that's why he's not there anymore, but.
And then you have Kenan Thompson, who's been a cast member, since the Bill Hader.
Yeah, he has been there a long time. That's the thing keeping me from calling either of those eras the Kenan Thompson era is the fact that he's
still there. Yeah.
He has been throughout the entirety of both of them. But I also think they've been having at least a lot of the main cast now have really been on for a while, and Cecily Strong has been on since the days of Bill Hader. Certainly. I think you could also say that about Vanessa Bayer. So really, it's almost like it feels in a way that maybe up until this year, they'd kind of been relying on a bunch of people who they'd had for a while. Whereas now there do seem to be some new cast members who are doing well.
You're definitely right there. I think maybe the reason for that might be that SNL isn't the launching pad it was anymore. Like, I think a lot of people's expectations are as a comedian, you do something like UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade. I don't know. Yeah. Or you do Second City, or you do something that you do an improv group, and then you go on SNL for your time, and you become big, and then you either go the Jon Stewart Colbert route, and you get a TV show doing the news at night. Seth Meyers, all the groups like that. You go sort of the Amy Poehler, Tina Fey route, and you write sitcoms like 30 Rock or Parks and Rec, and you become a celebrity, make tons of money from that. Or you do sort of the Will Ferrell route, and you go just do comedy movies, and you become very famous and sort of rich because of that. And either way, I think it's people were looking for SNL to be a launchpad to a greater comedic career, which I think it certainly can be, but the problem being it might not be that anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kate McKinnon's done movies, but I guess she's never really had a launch-off point with those because they're usually things that don't do that well, like the recent Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, not including that weird Paul Rudd thing that I don't understand.
Well, that's not out yet. So it's Ghostbusters, that's Ghostbusters: The Return or something like that. It's about the grandkid of Bill Murray's, I believe it's Bill Murray's character, from the original, and Paul Rudd being their teacher, and sort of them kind of becoming the next generation of Ghostbusters, which I think is interesting because I think it's probably a soft reboot for the franchise, or at least they're trying to make it that way. But at the same time, I think the fate of that franchise might have been sealed after the all-female Ghostbusters, which wasn't bad because it was all-female, it was bad because it was bad.
I don't know. I would say I will hold the unpopular opinion that the newest Ghostbusters is, in terms of quality, almost no different from the original. I think the original was a really funny movie that got just a bunch of love, and I don't think it's the all-time classic that it stands out to. I mean, if you want my opinion on the best Harold Ramis Bill Murray movie, I'm going to say it's Stripes. Don't sue me. Or do. I don't care.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, but I also think I hear what you're saying. At the same time, I think that does need to be taken into account because, this is going to sound really silly because this is a super over-exaggeration, but a movie I really like is A Trip to the Moon, which I don't know if you've ever seen it. The famous
movie from 1902 or whatever.
Yeah, it's the famous photo of the face of the moon with the rocket in its eye. It's hand painted. It's beautiful. It's this it's French masterpiece. It's only 9 minutes long, and it's really hear me out. And it's really kind of devoid of a lot of plot, devoid of a lot of story. But for the time, it was great. People really loved it because cinema was new and it was a cool thing, and it was really stretching the bounds of artistry and what cinema could do all this a long time ago, and I understand that. At the same time, you could not release that movie today. People would be like, "What's this crap? I'm not paying $18 for a 9-minute movie."
Absolutely.
And I kind of feel the same way about the Ghostbusters thing. Ghostbusters, sort of, I will agree with you that the all-female Ghostbusters was pretty much on par with the original in terms of quality and jokes.
I suppose a bit less
like
mature,
that.
but
Maybe. I also think they made I think they also made more sex jokes than the original. But the point I think is that
I think people tend to notice sex jokes when delivered by women a lot more and take that into account more and see that as a bad thing when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
We might disagree on that.
No, I think that's a sad fact, but I think it's probably true.
Yeah.
And so the thing sort of that I'm trying to say is you couldn't re-release the original Ghostbusters without cuts and changes today. And I think that was kind of the issue is even if you write a movie that's true to the original, if you don't release it around the same time as the original, people are going to like it less.
And I think we can also bring this back to SNL in a way because a lot of the old sketches, I don't know if they'd really hold up as well in today's era, but a lot of people complain about SNL getting worse now and how in the old days it was better when, like, certainly the first few years of SNL, it was just essentially throw a dart at a board covered in nouns and make something. And it's very odd, and I think there's certainly greater quality in terms of the joke writing and sketch writing now. You can say what you want about the actors. They probably break more, but it's gotten much more sophisticated over the years. And while people might not like that, I think if a sketch like the Samurai Deli was released today, people would be like, what is this weird joke? Like, we don't get it.
Yeah. I always take issue with people who say, the past was better, because that's not true. The past was different. It wasn't necessarily better, it was just different. And SNL back then was certainly different. People like Dan Aykroyd and people like Steve Martin, they're very funny comedians in their own right. They write jokes far better than anything that I've ever written. But at the same time, that kind of comedy, I'm not sure could sell as well today. I'm sure, Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd are still selling out stadiums or selling.
I don't know about Dan Aykroyd.
I'm pretty sure he's dead, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We might want to look that up.
Yeah, we'll check that and we'll put it in comments. But I think ultimately the point is made that the comedy like that isn't necessarily kind of reaching as big an audience as it was. And maybe to move to something a little more controversial, if that's okay, speaking about comedy that's not being taken so well, someone or at least as well as it used to, is someone like Dave Chappelle, who I remember wanted to be on SNL. He had said that several times. He never auditioned, but he really wanted to. He just never thought. He's like, I don't think I'll get in, so what's the point? And his kind of comedy, definitely people loved it when he was 13, 14, 15, working in clubs. Even his early stuff, the stuff from the 2000s. But now he's getting hit with so much more controversy. The controversy over Sticks and Stones. Oh man.
I mean, but controversy, I think you can't really conflate whether or not he has controversy with whether or not he still has an audience, because many people watched Sticks and Stones and enjoyed it, and some people watched it and got mad, and I don't think some people getting mad takes away from the fact that I would say Dave Chappelle is still very popular.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. It's
just
kind
got
of
the Mark Twain Award.
Yeah, no, you're right. Sometimes it's fun to watch live specials and look at the makeup of the audience, because it used to be, especially his show in 2001 in Killing Them Softly in DC, I think. That was pretty much an all African American audience, and now it's a bunch of Brooklyn hipster white people.
Yeah.
which is something for something that's a commentary that you could take any number of ways, and I don't think we're going to touch that. But yeah. So
how about them Mets?
Yeah, okay. So anyway, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have an idea for another video, put it in comments. If you want to tell us how our references are all wrong, please do. If you want to tell us how Kevin Roberts is your favorite SNL skit ever, please do. We'd love to talk to you.
We would love that.
I'm thinking about making a video about Fallout New Vegas next. So if anyone has any specific ideas about a Fallout New Vegas video they'd like to see, put those in comments, and I will certainly check them out and take your feedback. We'll leave you here with this gameplay. Thanks, and everyone have a wonderful day.
We need you. Come on.